The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives. I'm Debi, a certified holistic health coach. I revitalize people's lives by helping them identify the root causes of their health and mindset issues and create a custom, natural, holistic strategy to address them in the areas of mind, body, and soul. As a health coach, I'm not allowed to say that I heal, treat, prevent, cure, or diagnose any diseases. I can certainly make your body more efficient by reducing symptoms. You'll feel better, be more productive, and enjoy life more. Not many people have actually released 70 pounds, had a health transformation, and kept fit and trim for over a decade. I have, and I have staying power, and it's been over 11 years. I even became a half marathon runner at the age of 51, and I never ran from childhood to adulthood due to foot pain, and I have done 8 half marathons. Mindset is the key to lasting change. As a certified holistic health coach, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. I guide you to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrients. My coaching is for optimizing your health, releasing weight efficiently when needed, and enhancing your mindset. With my clients, I do help them recognize that their thoughts, feelings, and emotions do drive their actions and results, sometimes good, sometimes bad. That's why it's crucial to have a positive mindset in life. It's also imperative to manage your emotions and release those low vibrational emotions of fear, frustration, and doubt, because all that's going to do is slow you down and get you stuck. And that would be physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, like a hot air balloon. I help my clients release those emotional balances and baggage so they can uplift to that better, healthier life. In turn, they are releasing their stress and they are reshaping their core beliefs. You will see and feel the differences with my coaching programs. Ask me about them. Set up a complimentary consultation at DebiChangesLives, DebiChangesLives as in victory, es.com. /Linktree, LINKTRE. And I will guide you to that better, healthier life with custom solutions for mind, body, and soul. Now, we are certainly living in a time where people are, stressed, they're losing their jobs, and there's also unrest internationally. It's important to understand that we can't control things that are around us, but we can control how we respond to it. That's why it's crucial to have a positive mindset so you can navigate these stressful times. I'm creating a new workshop called Empower Your Mind and Life. It's on Saturday, June 21st at 9 a.m. Pacific. And you will learn how to manage your emotions and release stress. For more information, go to bit.ly/Empower Your Mind and Life, all spelled out as one word with no spaces, and register for it. Now, I've always told my clients that one thing I have them do, especially if they have pets, is to spend time with their pets. Pets give unconditional love, and they do help you release your stress. And I believe that pets and us have a symbiotic relationship. And many people know I have many pets. I almost have like a little zoo. And I do help other people's pets get healthier. So ask me about that. Today, I am so honored to have CarlyTrimble, the owner of RewardCalmDogServices. Carly actually blends equine and canine psychology with spiritual insights to foster harmony between dogs and owners. With over 20 years of experience, she emphasized on instinctual communication and balanced relationships. She proudly helped rehab over 1,000 dogs, and she ran a successful equine importing business. Today, we'll be discussing why your dog acts out. Is it poor health to blame? Well, we'll find out more, won't we? So let's welcome CarlyTrimble, the owner of RewardCalmDogServices. And Carly, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Debbie. I'm honored to be here with you. And I love how we both share this passion of trying to give people more harmony in their life through health, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today with dogs. You know, a lot of times we just look at the dog and we say, that's a bad dog. That's a bad behavior. I don't like that. But there's so much more going on. And I feel that the word holistic has now become grossly overused. Everything's holistic, especially in California. Everybody wants to be holistic. But what holistic really means is whole, right? You're looking at the whole thing. And so much with these traditional training techniques and ideologies, they're only looking at the behavior and how do we stop the behavior. They're not looking at what is the root of the behavior, right?
Exactly.
Is it lack of fulfillment, right? There's so many things. Everybody just wants to say, I don't like that behavior. Let's squash it. But that weed is going to keep rearing its ugly head if we don't pull it up and get to that root cause. So I'm super excited to do that with you today.
Yeah, and exactly. And that's why my title has holistic with a W, not the H. So it's WHOILSTIC. It makes a big difference because it's whole, mind, body, and soul. And everything in life, actually, if you think about it.
Absolutely.
Now, anything that has a vertebrae, solutions I have can be utilized for them too. So I'm going to ask you, are dogs like humans? When their gut is unhealthy, does it affect their thinking? I don't know about that, but what about the behavior?
It actually does absolutely affect their thinking. So I know that you are connected with a company that has incredible supplements. But the big buzzword lately has been leaky gut, right? Everybody's talking about leaky gut, but I feel like nobody truly understands what leaky gut is. Everybody just pops a probiotic and hopes that they're helping their leaky gut, or maybe, I don't even know if I have it, but I'll take a probiotic anyways. But it's important that we understand what leaky gut is and how it actually affects not only the way we think, the way we feel and our moods, but also animals. So in about 2010, leaky gut kind of became more of a hyper focus in the human world, but it's only been within the last 2-3 years and really predominantly in Europe that we have been working with it and seeing the same correlations with dogs as well.
Yeah.
And so leaky gut is a stressor that causes the tight cell junctions in the dog's gut to loosen, right? And then what ends up happening is the bacteria that only the gut is supposed to be handling is now in the blood. And unfortunately, that bacteria travels up to the brain, right? And I'm sure you know this. And it gets through and it changes the blood-brain barrier. Well, within that change, stress pathway activation is invoked, therefore causing the undesirable emotional dysregulation and behavior in humans and dogs. So when you think about it, that everybody thinks, well, how could it be that the gut actually gets to the brain? That is one of the ways. Right? If we don't have the gut doing what it's supposed to be doing, then the brain can't do what it's doing. And it's having to do things that it wasn't designed to do. And then that's where we start to have the discord. So in dog psychology, I always say I could care less what the body is doing. I only care about the brain. So I'm always looking at how is the brain affected in any stimuli, right? Be it bacteria coming up through the gut, or be it, hey, there's a pressure in the environment that's causing an undesirable response. But we have to be able to figure out which is it, right? Can the dog not relate to that stimuli correctly because they have this increased stress pathway activation due to an unhealthy gut?
Yes, and it's very much similar with humans as well. The only difference is that when you lose those when there's those junctions have a little bit of separation, it does leak into the blood system, and it means that this inflammation is going to land in different body systems, not just the brain. They could be heart, it could be bone and joint, it could be all throughout the body. And I'm sure it's the exact same thing with dogs as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And believe it or not, gut bacteria can communicate to the brain and different areas. And they kind of, according to one naturopath I had on the show, they can actually communicate and they can conspire. So that's why it's really important to have good bacteria in your gut, because you don't want to get it out of balance. And a lot of things cause it to be out of balance due to parasites, due to the foods that people eat that have toxins in them and whatnot. I can go on and on and on.
Yeah. And I think we should touch on, what causes leaky gut in humans and in dogs, right? So the biggest one is stress, right? But it's the increase in the cortisol. That chemical is what weakens the gut lining. So when we think about, obviously we can come up with, okay, what causes us stress? I mean, we could probably just sit here for the next 40 minutes and talk about things that are stressful, right? But, with dogs, not only do they have the mental stress, right, where they have anxieties, they have fears, but also knowing your dog's exercise limitations, because you can put just as much stress on a dog physically.
Oh, yes.
And it could be the same as putting them in a super high stress, taking them to the vet every day situation, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And so it's knowing what are my dog's limits in a sense. And same thing with humans.
Exactly.
But just depending, like dogs in nature, they don't usually go on like crazy long runs. So when you have dogs that are constantly running because they're overstimulated, that's not natural. They usually sprint and rest. And so sometimes if we're having gut issues, we could be overworking our dogs in a way physically that we just think, but look how happy my dog is. My dog's having fun. But at the same time, the dog can't conceptualize like, oh, but I'm really, really destroying my gut lining, right?
I have no idea. I have no idea. And, with humans, people need to exercise the way they can exercise. Now, I'm a half marathon runner. I run 5 miles a day.
That's amazing.
5 days a week. But what it does is that it really helps circulate my blood and lymph, and obviously makes me a very happier person.
Yeah.
When I don't run, it's kind of like, wow, I really need to go out and walk. But my whole point is that just walking a dog, how happy dogs are when they walk?
Yeah.
And, during the time of the pandemic, I used to say hello to everybody just to make them smile, even though people were wearing masks, because they needed to smile. Smiling and hugging gives you oxytocin, the same thing probably with your dog. And the whole point of that is that dogs get kind of strange. It's like, why is my owner wearing this mask? But they were so happy to be outside. And when people started walking, be outside to see the animals and everything else in the environment. They are natural creatures. They need to be outside. And leave them outside. They need to be on a nice casual walk with you. And it doesn't be a run. I see people run their dogs. Well, and they do a lot of miles. Yeah, that's going to be stress on their joints. It's going to be, they better nutrify these dogs, because you sweat out your nutrients when you exercise. Humans, especially, and dogs. And that's going to cause heart conditions and everything else. Which
is another thing, a nutrient imbalance, right? In the gut is another thing that can cause a leaky gut. So I'm not saying don't exercise your dogs. I'm not saying don't run your dogs. I'm saying know your dog.
Know your
dog.
Your
dog, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And look for the signs that they have some type of GI distress, and take the exercise and the amount of exercise you're doing in consideration when deciding what needs to change so I can get that gut into balance.
Exactly. I mean, if they're vomiting, that's really obvious, right?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And if they're eating grass, if they eat, rocks, to tell you the truth, there's some children that have eaten rocks because they had mineral deficiencies.
Right.
And when they're eating grass, it's probably because they have to do something about the digestive system. You probably have more tips than I do, but those are some ideas I have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if they call it pica in humans as well. When you're eating inappropriate things for nutrients or in a compulsive matter, right? But we call that pica. But yeah, some of the things, like if I have a client that is having digestive issues with their dog, I encourage them to keep a journal. And what I want to know is like, okay, what does the poop look like every time? How is your dog sleeping? What was the appetite at every meal, right? Are they belching and burping prior, after, or not at all? Are they, like you said, vomiting? That's a big one. Yeah. But to take that over a week and then look at it, you can kind of score it and be like, you know what? 75% of the time, my dog's poop looks like a cow patty. Like, that's not good, right? And not only does that show that we have the distress, but then it also is not doing the other thing it's supposed to do, which is extract the anal glands, right? We have so many dogs that have to go in for professional anal gland extraction because we have so many dogs whose guts are not correct. So when a dog eats a natural diet of 80-20, which is 80% muscle meat, 10% bone, and 10% organ, those bones and everything, it's a real hard, firm poop. And that can take through, go through and take the anal glands. But what's happening is we're feeding these kibbles, these high sugar, high starch diets. Yes. And the body's like, I was not designed to deal with this, right? So it throws off every mechanism in the body. But we'll get into more diet and all that stuff a little later.
Ideally, it should be gluten-free because gluten actually shortens the villi and the human digestive tract, so you can't absorb the foods that you normally can unless the villi was longer.
And talk about villi so everybody knows.
Villi is like a sea anemone in your digestive tract from your mouth all the way through the end, so to speak, and it kind of moves the food along the intestinal tract. And when it's not healthy, that movement doesn't happen very well, and as well as it gets shortened, and you will not be digesting things as well. You'll end up eating more, needing more supplementation. And if it's like medications, you're going to have higher medications. That's why being gluten-free is really ideal because the gluten, whether it's wheat, barley, oat, or rye, they have a form of gluten in them that which will corrupt the villi. And the slides I've actually seen that it corrupts it. Now, of course, I can't show that with my fingers, so I just bend it over. But when you start giving them some kind of mineral supplementation and eat a clean diet, that villi can be brought back to life. And you'll be able to alkaline level in your body, which is 7.5, 6, whatever. So that's my whole point. And I have no idea what kind of alkaline. I can't give you a scientific about dogs, but it's probably very similar because we're all mammals.
Mm-hmm.
Now cats are a little different from dogs. They're really sensitive to some plants and things like that. But I've actually helped my cat by dissolving a bladder stone by just giving it a little bit of apple cider vinegar in the water. And that went away. And my vet was like, what the hell did you do? And I told her what I did. And she goes, I should have thought about that. And I'm like, yeah, you should have, because you want to charge me $1,000.
You wanted $2,800. Yeah. you're like, this $1.29 bottle of apple cider vinegar was great. Well, and you're talking about gluten, but I think another thing that also is important to talk about is yeast.
Yes.
Right. And the balance of yeast in the gut, because that's another thing that can eat away at the gut lining and start to loosen the tight gel junctions, right? Or the tight cell junctions. Say that 10 times.
Yeah. Yes.
And so the thing is, it's not that yeast is bad, right? Everybody we need yeast, right? Yeah. It's when we have an imbalance of yeast and an overgrowth of yeast that becomes a problem. So, a big sign of your dog having a yeast overgrowth in its gut or an imbalanced gut would be that yeasty ears, right? We all know hot yeasty ears. Dandruff, skin. If their paws smell like Cheetos, you know what I'm talking about? The Cheeto paw smell. Yeah. That's it. That is yeast. It's coming out, right? We detox through our feet and in our hands, right? Yeah. So the body's trying to be like, ooh, I got to get rid of this yeast. You think about what bread smells like, kind of smells like Cheetos, right? So again, not that yeast is bad, but an out of balance is bad. And there's a vet, I think he's Australian. His name is Dr. Sean Brady. No, Buckley. Let me think about that. I want to say it's Brady. Oh no, sorry. Dr. Connor Brady. That's his name. Dr. Connor Brady. And I love him. He has you can do it yourself protocol on his website if you feel that your dog has an imbalance. And it's all stuff in your kitchen, like garlic, bentonite clay. I mean, I have that because I'm a weirdo, but just all of these natural household ingredients that you can put together before you bring the dog to your doctor and you start adding steroids and all of that into your dog.
Yes,
We say, and I mean, I'm sure we'll go, down the rabbit hole with steroids, but Apoquil, any dog that has a yeast infection now, it's like, oh, well, they're just going to get the Apoquil shot. And it's like, okay, that's the same as my house is burning down. I'm concerned about that. I'm just going to take a sleeping pill so that way I don't know my house is burning down, right? So all of that Apoquil or the dexamethasone or whatever you're doing, whatever you're using, it's not solving the issue, right? All it's doing is suppressing the response that the body is giving to the issue. That's why we become dependent on it. So again, let's get that weed and pull it up at the root. Let's just stop hacking the top of the weed off.
Exactly. And with I call medication synthetic chemicals, our body reacts to it as a foreign invader. And that's why you have so many side effects. I'm not a fan of it at all because I've had too many side effects. I was just talking to my son about that. When I was, not a holistic health coach and I had to take medications, I always had my husband look at the side effects and not tell me. But I ended up with the side effects without even knowing.
So you did a blind study.
Yes. So it's not necessarily psychological when you read it. It actually does happen. So be aware of that. There are some natural solutions that you can do. And everyone obviously has a different fingerprint on health, and you have to approach them differently depending what's going on. Because I usually have multiple layers of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's the same with dogs too.
Absolutely. And by no means I want to be clear. I don't think vets are bad. I don't think they're stupid by any means. But it's just what we're talking about is just a different school of thought. Vets have very, very little nutritional education. If you ask them, they'll tell you 1 to 2 semesters. I mean, that's absurd to me because we feed ourselves with our whole body is, there's the silly saying or the common saying, you are what you eat. Right. So not only do they have a very short education in it, but then also their textbooks are written by these large kibble companies, just like traditional doctors. Right. And same thing with vets. The drug companies are writing the textbooks. And so I'm not saying that there's not a place for drugs or traditional medication, but having the awareness and the amount of money and time and stress that I save my clients with natural solutions is unbelievable. We run a board and train here. We call it rehab because we're rehabbing the brain. We're really not training the dog to do anything. We're balancing the dog out so it can live in harmony, right, with its surroundings.
Yes.
But the amount of time that we actually have to take the dog to a vet is slim to none because I have an apothecary, right? That I'm like, hey, let's try this first. And of course I have all of my clients' permission. If they're like, nope, if anything happens, I want them to the vet immediately. Of course I honor that. Right. But they're totally happy with me. I'm like, listen, I will treat your dog like I treat mine. And I would not give them anything or take them to the vet any later than I would my own. And as long as I have their approval, we go that way. And of course they're elated that they end up saving money if anything goes wrong.
True.
So
that's expensive, man.
Absolutely.
Now, I want you to, well, it sounds like you have a lot of success stories. So I'd like you to talk about your success stories where you're improving a gut health or any type of health to transform a dog's behavior.
Yeah. So I'm so lucky that my clients trust me as much as they do, because they bring their dog in for my knowledge in dog psychology. Right. But when they see the change in my understanding of the dog's brain, and then I start offering suggestions for change in food, or change in routine or whatever, they're so open to it. So when dogs come in and they are on kibble, I have the long talk with them as to why, if this was my dog personally, I would not make that choice. And I always say that because I mean, I don't really think anybody's an expert in anything, because I can't tell you the amount of, I started reading this stuff 20 years ago and they've changed it. Like, I mean, now probiotics are out, kind of. We'll talk about that, right? Yeah. But it's like, it used to be probiotics. Now it's no, feed the gut. Like, you can get your gut in balance quickly with a probiotic, right? But that is not your long-term solution. You should not be on probiotics for 6 months. You should get your microbiota balanced and then feed it with fermented foods and things that the gut needs for health, right? But everybody's like, oh, I'll just take another pill. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem with that is nobody knows what this gut is supposed to look like, really. So we're kind of throwing darts in the dark and hoping that, whatever was in that probiotic was something that your dog was lacking. But what if it was something that you or your dog had an overgrowth in, right? So it's really making sure that if you do probiotics, that you take a fecal test. I highly recommend that, so you know exactly what's going on with the microbiota, what's needed for the balance, and then have that plan to taper off, and then support with the natural fermented foods, the bone broths, the mushrooms, everything else that, and I don't mean like shiitake mushrooms, our turkey tail, our lion's mane, our chaga. There's some wonderful dog lines out there that are mushroom dog lines that I've had awesome success with. But back to your question. So everybody that comes through, if the client is open to getting off of kibble or a diet, like, even there's some of these they're fresh foods, but they're like hot dogs, and if you look at it, it's like, it's like, is it better than kibble? Absolutely. But it's the preservatives in it. It's like the preservatives alone are going to inflame as much as all the crap that's in kibble. And so it's kind of like we're jumping from the pot into the fire, but
they probably have nitrates in it and you don't want that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. A hot dog, right? I mean, I'm from Chicago. And we are home of the hot dog. And there's actually nothing more that I love than a hot dog. And I saw an entire documentary about literally the moment the hot dog's in your mouth, how everything starts changing in your body. And I'm like, I don't know that I can ever eat another hot dog. And I'm like, and that was like my Chicago staple. But not to digress. But so when the dogs come in, I go through, after seeing them work and figuring out like what their personalities like, what their tendencies are. Then when I start looking at the elements in the dog's body. And so when you have a dog that's a super nervous dog that runs hot, like when you kind of think about like fire breathing dragon, we don't want to feed chicken. We don't want to feed lamb. Those are both hot meats. Right. So it's something that's a dog I would feed pork and turkey, those are both cooler meats. So I don't want to add heat. If I have a dog that's super lethargic and, and unmotivated and, kind of like a bump on a log, if I feed a chicken, it's not going to make a difference. Right. Sure. So it's just from there. Then I start looking at what protein source is going to be best for the dog. And then I look at the client's lifestyle and I say, what is going to be the most realistic thing that this client is going to be able to keep up? Right.
Cool.
And
same thing.
Yeah. And so everybody is different, right? But everybody leaves with clearer skin, clearer mind, right? And so to say like, oh, this was my big success story, like they're all success stories for the ones that are willing to trust me. It is a bigger financial investment as well, right? So that's the other thing, is it's not nearly as convenient. Kibble travels easily. You can pull kibble, it's a scoop, right? You can teach your kids to go get the cup and feed the dog, and then it's over, right? You don't have to defrost the raw, whatever. You don't have to cut up the chicken hearts. So I make it as elaborate or as simple as we can, with still keeping the dog's needs for nutrition in integrity. Just depending on the owner, there's always good, better, best. But if anybody is is interested in kind of learning a little bit more about the kibble and the industry and everything, there's a great book. It's called Big Kibble, like Big Pharma. And that one's by Sean Buckley. I was getting them confused. There he was. Yeah. And that's a great book if you want to dig into it a little bit more and need a little bit of motivation. Right.
Yeah,
and education.
It's kind of like, there's the books like I use where, Brain, which is written by a neurologist about how bad gluten is, and other books. So those are kind of like, they're telling you how to eat a healthier diet for your brain and your gut.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, it's going to help your heart.
Yep.
So, since we're kind of talking about pets and energy, and it's interesting you went down the protein route. I know that. Yeah, exactly. I heard recently that horses can sense I used to work with horses. Horses can sense humans from miles away. It's because they can sense that vibrational energy that a human has. And it's interesting, they can actually help bring down someone's vibrational heart variability and make them calmer, and vice versa. You can make an animal more upset too. I personally, whenever we go traveling, my cat gets upset, and I got after hearing advice by an energy healer, I just said, we'll be gone for 3 moons and we'll be back. And ever since I started doing that, he is calm when we get home. I don't get my meowed out when I get home.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Well, the biggest difference between horses and humans, which we don't have between dogs and humans, is that horses are prey and we are predators. Yes. When we're working with a dog, we're both predators. So that is the vibration. So and part of the reason there are some horse trainers, I don't think that you need to go this far. I think that there's other ways that you can balance your relationship with your horse without doing this, but they'll go vegetarian so they don't smell as much like meat. So, but really what they're smelling is they're smelling the predator, right? And that energy. And so that's why in some ways dogs are easier to work with, because we at least have that in agreement, where we are actual kind of natural opposing forces in the wild with horses. But that is also why, to what you just said earlier, they can ground people better than most dogs. Because when you think about dogs are like, hey, right? Like, and they kind of got this energy, right? Where horses, when they come up to you, you don't ever see a horse that comes up like, hey, right? No. They usually come walking up, they investigate, and then boom, they drop in. So they have that stoic, calming, grounding energy that opposes our hunting energy, because they have to practice more stillness, because their flight will invoke a hunt.
Yes.
Right. So
and human flights will evoke a dog to chase them.
Yes. So yeah, that's a little bit of the difference. Not that dogs aren't great for therapy, but it takes taking a dog down and grounding them to be able to hold the energy for therapy, where horses can do it way more instinctually without near as much assistance, in programming their brain for that type of work.
Yes. That's amazing. So you're really like a dog whisperer. I just was recently told by my son, you're the cat whisperer.
And I know nothing about cats. I mean,
I can come here. And
the coolest thing I learned about cats was that they view us as other cats. So when they were scanning their brains, they recognize us as a cat, but they just think we're really dumb cats. Like, we're just really bad at being cats. So the whole time your cat's looking at you, they're like, you're just an idiot. Like, like, why are you so bad at this? With dogs, they look at us like we look at them. So they identify that we are a separate species, and they have this, oh my God, that was so cute what you just did. Like, so cats are looking at us like we're moronic, and dogs are looking at us maybe even in a patronizing way at some time, like, oh, look at you.
It's funny.
But I thought that was kind of a fun fact.
I think my dog is more like a cat, though. He will follow me. He'll come into my room and go, meow, time to go to bed. And he's like a little tugboat. He's like guiding me into the room.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and
yeah,
mm-hmm. That's how they communicate. All animals communicate with pressure. So pressure is the universal language and exchange between all species. So if you think about that instance, he's coming and putting pressure on you, right? He's audibly putting pressure onto you and saying, I want something, right? And then by you getting up and yielding to him, he's now made that a pattern. I'm ready to go to bed. I want her in bed with me, right? This is what I should do. I have to go put a pressure on, and then she yields to my pressure and follows. Yeah. And so that was one example with your cat. But I mean, we see that with dogs. That is every exchange with the dog is either a positive pressure exchange or a negative pressure exchange. So I say you're either building bank account dollars in your relationship with your dog if you're the one leading and having the dog yield to you. But if you're constantly yielding to the dog, and it's different with cats, right? To cats, it's a whole different thing. But if we're always yielding to our dog, like they come and bark at us, we go get them a treat. They come and bring us a ball, we throw it for them. We're yielding to their request. And then therefore we are losing leadership bank account dollars. And that's the most important thing with our dogs, is that they ultimately do see us as that leader.
Yeah. Well, my cat just wants to be brushed.
He
wants to go to bed.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it in the right, if you get up in the middle of the night and go back to bed, sometimes, he will tell me you shouldn't have done that.
Oh, he yells at you for going to the bathroom?
Well, sometimes he'll tap my foot, when I'm walking back to the bed. Like, where are you going? You don't go back to bed. And so one time I got really angry, and he went, wow. I'm like, well, we're into you too. And he never did that again.
You told him.
Yeah, I said, stop it.
Yeah.
But it's, you can really create these wonderful relationships with these animals, and just remember, it's just a matter of understanding how they communicate.
Yeah.
And so since I led that, you have a question here that says, what key signals do dogs use to communicate their feelings, and how owners can better interpret these signals to foster a stronger bond with their pets?
So, I mean, ultimately what we're looking for is we're looking for signs of imbalance within the dog.
Okay.
And so if a dog is imbalanced, they are looking to us to balance them, or they are looking to somebody to balance them. Because if they are in an out of balance state and they've been living in it for a long time, they don't have the ability to help themselves. So in the wild, they rely on their other pack members. So I'm going to say this slowly. There are no out of balance dogs in the wild.
I understand.
Let that sink in. So what's the one thing that's changed when they come in here? Us, right?
Yeah.
And so we, the reason that we have imbalances in ourselves, and the reasons that we have imbalances in our dog, is because we inherently, as a species, lack discipline and we lack follow through. In the wild, they have one thing to do, and that's keep their pack dynamics in order and balance each other, right? Their phone's not ringing, their kid's not crying, their dinner's not burning, their husband's not fighting, right? They have one job, and they all know their job. So when the moment arises, there's nothing distracting them. Their instincts kick in, they do their job perfectly, and then everybody stays in perfect balance. So for us, if we have dogs that are out of balance, some of the things we're going to see are whining, hyperactivity, destruction, right? So by hyperactivity, I mean like that dog that is parkouring off of every orifice of the house. Destruction, either fighting or over asserting or over inviting with other species. So that can be other pack members in the home, children, even us. So anything where the dog has a energy where they can't just, if you were to ask them, hey, we're just going to chill out, and we're going to be like this. And if the dog can't get there when I request that, and the way that I request it with my dogs is I just am that, right? That's where I end up getting. I am that. I hold the container for my dog. So a good way to know if your dog is out of balance is how you feel. So however you feel about whatever's going on with your dog feels twice as bad.
Exactly.
So if your dog's whining in the crate and you're like, oh my God, I am so annoyed. I can't stand that we're doing this again. Right.
Yes.
And you're already like, that dog feels twice as bad inside. So most people get angry. Right. And I mean, I don't get angry. I start thinking, what does my dog need? Is it thirsty? Does it need to go to the bathroom? You know, did I not make the dog comfortable enough in my absence before I asked for it to stay in a room all by itself? Right. Is it having separation anxiety? Did I drain the dog enough? Right. I use the example all the time. If you flew to France with your kid, the 8-year-old, and you were just in a plane for 14 hours and you landed, you wouldn't be like, now we're going to do one of these 5-hour, 10-course French meals. No way. Kid's going to be crawling across the table, right? We so often ask that of our dogs, right? Hey, I didn't have time. Hey, I had a crappy day at work, you know, or whatever. Boom, I don't want to deal with you. Hey, I'm going to take you out to go to the bathroom, put you in the crate. Yeah, the dogs haven't done anything all day, right? So maybe your dog needed exercise. But circling back, however you feel, you're walking your dog's reacting to another dog, you feel disempowered. Right? You feel nervous. You feel anxious. That's exactly how your dog feels.
Yes.
Right?
So pay attention to that. I mean, that's really important, and do something about it. Listen to the signals. Now, what is your offer for our audience today?
We have quite a few things that we offer on our website. It's pretty extensive with dog psychology. There's no cookie cutter. So most trainers, what will end up happening is they have a method. They put the dog in the method. Some dogs do really well, and it was the method the dog needed. Sometimes it wasn't fit for the dog at all, but they don't have the ability to shift and tailor it specifically to the dog. So if you view my website, you will see that there are many offers. So if you book with me, I would prefer that you either emailed me or you're welcome to call me. My number is on my website. Talk about seeing Debi and I. I want your definition of leaky gut. And then I will offer 20% off of any service, which includes even if you sign up for our 28-day mindset reset board and train, happy to honor that as well.
That's a wonderful offer. And her email, she spells Carly, Carly, and it's at RewardCalmDogServices.com. So I love that offer. Now, surprise, we are doing a collaboration. So you can go on the next slide, Rumble. It's going to be on Saturday, July 26th. And we are going to find the location and time, and we're going to determine the ticket cost later on. Carly, we don't have much time, but just briefly, very briefly, describe your topic. Kind of says it in the topic name. Bark Basics.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll touch back a little bit about, the gut and the brain, but really what I want to get into a little bit more is behavior. So just some really helpful awareness points that people can have about their dog to understand them better. And so it's just like right now, a lot of times people are speaking French or an Italian and they're missing, right? Yeah. I want you guys speaking canine so that your dog doesn't miss anything.
Perfect. I love that. And I'm going to be talking about the 3 brains of your body. And yes, everyone thinks it's the gut and the brain, but it's also your heart. So we'll be talking about how everything kind of works together electronically and vibrationally. So save this date and contact either Carly or me regarding it. And I'll be putting more information about this collaboration on the podcast later on once everything gets set, and there'll be information that you can access to. So Carly, will you be a guest again on my show?
Oh my gosh, I would love to. This was great. Thank you so much, Debi. I really was honored to be here with you. So thank you.
And we can get into more details. We have so much to cover. Thank you. So please stick around for closing remarks, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, remember, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. And I do work with help people with the gut. I also help with brain issues and mindset, as well as immunity and bone and joint. And you name it, I can help you with it. I guide you to a clean, toxic-free diet and high-quality essential nutrient products that will reduce symptoms. You'll feel better. It will uplift your mood. And, maybe you'll be releasing weight if it's needed. Now, with my mindset coaching, I help you release stress, emotions, and entanglements of the past. And with my health, and also you're reshaping your core beliefs, as well as, I guess we're running out of a lot of time, as well as I help you, make your body more efficient and optimize and help you release weight. That's a mind-body solution that actually will make your soul sing as well as your heart. Ask me about my programs at my consultation button at DebiChangesLives, DebiChangesLives.com as in victory.com/Linktree. There you get to know me, I get to know you, and I'll guide you to your optimum health. And it begins with health evaluation, which is in the next slide, where you will rate your symptoms in the last 30 days in 4 categories of health. Some questions repeat, answer them all, and it will create a baseline that we can work on. I will review it with you, and when you move forward with my services, I'll create that custom natural holistic strategy for you, and we'll monitor this on a monthly basis. Also, I have 2 different body Zyto scans, and I prefer to do the Vizera link because I can actually send it remotely and internationally. Sent one to South Africa. Vizera link is a transdermal optical imaging app that I share a link with your phone. You scan your face for 30 seconds, and you're only seeing blood flow for components of energetic, emotional, and as well as functional. The emotional one is actually key in different body systems and lifestyles. It generates a wellness report of biomarkers out of line and products and services that be back in line. I do review it. It's quite intensive. The scan costs $75, but I give you a discount either on a program or product. And that link is a transdermal optical imaging app. That term and TOI, you can look up at pubmed.gov to see how accurate it is. And people are really amazed what their body tells them. But try it. You don't know until you do at that consultation button. Then I have my programs on that same site. I have a 12-week weight release mindset coaching program. We're utilizing a new version of you to drive you to success. And all coaching is done on Zoom, but the first one's private to you. So I'll be going over the programs, giving you a choice. I'll be giving you instructions how to do it, and also instructions how to create that new you, so to speak. That'll drive you to your success. And then the rest of the coaching, whether it's in group or private, are the same. We celebrate wins. We'll be using our boards. I'm guiding you over gaps for health and mindset. You will become a new you. You can look up more information on my previous episode, Holistic Self-Love, on my program button. YFAST is the intermittent fasting program that gets your cells and body humming and turn business your metabolism with rich, dense nutrition, high-quality essential nutrients, and a program of exercises and recipes. Here you ask me questions. If you feel like you need some coaching, I offer 2 or 4 week programs. I also create a custom program for you for mindset and health. Finally, I also offer a coaching chat, which is a 30-minute coaching session in a mid-group setting. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but it's not recorded, and everybody picks a topic. It's on Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's at DebiChangesLives.com/chats, and you learn what my coaching is all about. Finally, learn more about alternative health services, programs, products, and offers, and as well as other things. You can track your emotions, your foods, and your measurements in the whole 9 yards, and you can also celebrate your wins as well. It's a great health and mindset daily action journal that is going to make you very aware. I'm certain that you found this show educational, enjoyed it, and reach out to me for more information. Reach out for the services and products and programs I offer, and reach out to Carly for what she offers and her discount offers. Do we have time for her to come back? There you go. Do you have a closing remark?
I was just so happy to be able to share this with everybody. So please take it into consideration that it may not just be the brain, but also the gut. Your wallet will thank you because you won't need as much training. And your dog will certainly thank you because they'll be able to live in more harmony.
Yeah, that'll make your life so much easier. Thank you for being on my show.
Thank you.
Now, continue to enjoy my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives, at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where your holistic journey begins.